This is the Morning Tailgate.
There have been plenty of other coaches, but why not us? Why not this staff? Why not this group of players? I look at it as what a great challenge. We're going to be about the work.
He is back, baby! And the Raiders regain the lead! With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor, and Clay Baker on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Fire up you! Grab a beverage or two and settle in this heat. The Morning Tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920, the flagship for the silver and black. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignor, and Clay Baker coming to you live from Las Vegas on a Monday, July 27th, 2026. This is the week of Raiders training camp opening up at the facility. First practice on Wednesday. The vets report tomorrow. Rookies in the building. Yet another day today. Welcome in, everybody. Hope you had a great weekend. A lot to get to, a lot to talk about, tons of news and notes. But we start with a man who's already in training camp form, so to speak, who's already been on the grass around the National Football League. Vinny Bonsignor. Vinny, you have that training camp aura about you right now. How did it feel this weekend to be out seeing some football?
Oh, fantastic. And got a schedule lined up that I'm going to see the Raiders, the Rams, the Chargers, the 49ers. So I'm going to be out and about. But it all started with the Rams. Saturday, they reported to training camp over at Loyola Marymount University. Their first day of practice was yesterday. They go in the evening, well, about 4:30 or so is when they got on the field. And check this out. So Matthew Stafford, the reigning MVP, he's 38 years old, 37, 38 years old. So I think Clay was just a little kid when the Lions drafted him out in Detroit, right?
Yeah. I was.
Seems like he's been around forever.
I was in short pants.
Yeah, exactly. He was out with I think the coaches were wearing those tight bike. What do they call them?
Yeah,
those bike
shorts.
And Zubaz afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. Might have been Monty Kiffin was the head coach. I don't know who the head coach was of the Lions at the time. But point being, the Rams understand that with their not aging quarterback, but middle-aged quarterback. So they have a plan for him, and it's spread out in 4-day increments. So it goes off, on, off, on. If you could follow that, he's off, then he's on, then he's off, then he's on in the 4-day increments, which meant yesterday he wasn't even on the field. He was off doing something else somewhere else behind the scenes, and that left the Rams offense. And when I say that the Rams got to 11 on 11, if you blinked, it was like literally just maybe 5 minutes of individuals, and then bang, they're in 11 on 11, and away they went. They never left that. They never deviated from that. It was 11 on 11, full-on scrimmages, best on best. You had, Myles Garrett and Trent McDuffie out there, for the defense, and they were flying around, but it left the offense in the hands of Stetson Bennett and Ty Simpson. And that's kind of a low-key story for the Rams, because behind Matthew Stafford, there isn't anybody on the roster that's even appeared in an NFL game, let alone thrown an NFL pass. So really interesting to see Sean McVay throw those two young quarterbacks into the fire the way they did, and they got after it. It was a competitive afternoon for the Rams. And I got to say, Ty Simpson looked really good. So good for him to get out there and kind of get his feet wet against what is a really good-looking Rams defense. But it was fun to be able to really watch some. It wasn't real football, obviously. They're not hitting right now. They got to do the 5-day ramp up just like everybody else does. But for them to get into 11, and I was talking to some of the coaches, like, yeah, we like to throw guys into the fire, stress them out, see how they respond, see how they do. So if you were there as a fan, and they had a whole bunch of youth football teams there, it was a fun day for a first day.
Stress test. I like that.
Stress test.
I love the mentality. I love the mental games that coaches put on their teams, put on position groups. Just, again, you said, I don't know if this was the plan in terms of the players knowing, but when I hear, if you blink, individual drills are over and they just get thrown into 11 on 11. I'm curious how much that's part of the plan for the players to know. Maybe first couple days, like, let's throw them into these stress tests. Very interesting to see. I'm curious what that looks like here in Las Vegas for the Raiders out in Henderson. What Clint Kubiak, if anything, with that type of thing. Again, he's kind of that no-nonsense guy, but there's still always mental games being played to get information, to learn information. One other news and note on the West Coast, obviously an opponent that the Raiders will be playing this preseason, their preseason finale, the San Francisco 49ers. Kyle Shanahan, the head coach, going to be on a limited basis with the team, kind of TBD in terms of what that looks like. Obviously scary stuff, involved in a car accident. What is this now, nearly, Clay, two weeks ago?
Yeah, July 14th, apparently.
So, kept under, I don't want to say kept under wraps like it was a secret, but, not talked about.
It was a secret.
Okay, well, there you go. So, I guess a secret. And
can you, let's stop there for a second, guys, because I'm honestly stunned. Okay, that thing didn't get out. Number one, usually in that situation, whether there's beat writers up there. Vic Tafer is up there. So we have some good friends that are up there. In the Bay Area. It's the head coach of the 49ers, and it wasn't a unserious car accident. This was a pretty serious car accident. He had 40 stitches in his face, a severe concussion, broken nose, broken ribs. Let me just say this: it's the head coach of the premier sports team up in the Bay Area. All right, I'm not speaking out of school to say that. For it to not get out somehow, some way, for the time that it did, I get it, and I've talked to so many people in the NFL, and there's so many schools of thought about that. Like, number one, well, it's a dead period, nobody got hurt, there was nobody was cited for any wrongdoing. It makes some sense that it didn't come out. I've had other people in the NFL going, what the heck, kind of sketchy right there. A little, what was that all about? And the fact that this was universal, the fact that somebody like a TMZ didn't get a hold of that, right?
Right. Yes, that's the part I was wondering. Right.
Which means, and I did have an NFL general manager who said, "Hey, I gotta give a shout out to the first responders, because typically, Vince, you kind of know this. We deal with this all the time, right? With the TMZs of the world, and hey, I know those people over there. I get it, I understand it, and however they go about getting their information is how they get their information. That's their deal. That's their business, right? But it's typically the way it all happens is somebody tips them off, right? Somebody within the agencies that we're talking about tips them off that, hey, something happened with the head coach of the, just letting you know, and boom, now they can get on it. The fact that none of those, the Palo Alto, I think it was the Palo Alto Police Department, the first responders, kept that thing under wraps is kind of low key. I don't know whether it's impressive or what the word might be, but it was very unusual that it took so long for something like that to get reported when it involved somebody that's such a high profile person. The good news is, and the most important thing is that he's okay and that he's on the road to recovery. But the fact that it didn't get reported is pretty curious to me. And I have to also say this, and Vince and Clay, I think you guys would share this. Local journalism is, I came up at a time where you literally had dedicated police reporters that were just monitoring. I could still, right now, I could close my eyes and hear the police monitor, going off behind me when I was working as a young reporter on a Friday night or a Saturday night taking high school games over the phone, right? All the results, coaches would call them in, and we'd write them up real quick, for the little blurb that would be in the paper the next day. Well, there was always one reporter, aside from the sports department, that was still there, and that was the police reporter, who was literally there to just monitor the police information, because we had a connection to the police that you could hear, the reports. Hey, go see this guy, that person, a battery has occurred, or whatever was going on. We had access to it. The fact that the papers up there, the media entities up there didn't, obviously, right? They didn't have somebody that was just dedicated to that, because they did, somebody would have seen that report come across the come across the radar, and nobody did. So that's really it's a little bit sad to me that journalism, that local journalism has. And I'm not sitting here saying that we got to break every news or get into everybody's business, but let's face it, that's a pretty big story when it concerns the head coach of the San Francisco 49ers up in the Bay Area.
Well, the reason why I was a little hesitant to phrase it under wraps is just because, one, I'm not going to speculate on what is or what is not happening. Again, I'm reading all the stuff kind of secondhand in terms of not being there to cover it. It is, we were talking about this on the way in, it is just an odd thing that this went unreported, that in today's age, Clay and I were sitting here, it almost doesn't make sense. And you were just saying there's people, not even paid people, just people whose hobby it is to listen to police scanners and blotters and look up different things on a daily basis just because they enjoy doing it, right?
If you're in the hospital, there's transporters, there's all sorts of people that come in and out of your room, taking people back and forth for X-rays. They're the ones that also report to TMZ. But
of course,
maybe our reliance on AI and the people that would normally be checking you in, we don't have actual people working there now, so it's like
that's what I'm saying. I don't know.
Technology is now giving us the brush.
Yeah,
but that's exactly what I'm saying. I know Vince over where you guys are. There has to be somebody that's their dedicated one of their dedicated jobs, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, interesting. I'm sure this
Very
is not the last we'll hear from that. Before we get today's topic and news of the day, just one more note around the NFL, unrelated to what we're talking about, but not too different. Ben Steele, the tight ends coach for the Commanders, was hired this offseason, has been let go today. He, according to the beat reporters, including our own good friend Tashawn Reed, Steele was arrested on June 7th with DWI.
Oh.
So that is the latest as the Washington Commanders announced their tight ends coach that position is now vacant. So we really are in the midst of the NFL season because it felt like this weekend we were back in it with all the news notes. Again, not all the great, just news notes in general, guys on the field, teams on the field, and I believe this was the last Sunday that from this Sunday forward, every National Football League team will be in action in some manner, whether it's a practice, whether it's getting ready for a game, whatever it may be, we are back.
Woo!
We are back. So there we go. As mentioned, the Raiders rookies have been in the facility for the last couple days, including a couple vets. Vets in totality will report tomorrow, and then practice begins on Wednesday. So Alexa Belcastro will be joining us in hour number 2. Case Keefer, Las Vegas Sun, will be joining us this morning as well. And we want to hear from you because we've gotten to this point where it is now the week of training camp. And I'm not saying we're not going to talk about season expectations throughout camp, but this is kind of the last couple opportunities we have, at least in this platform, to talk about what we expect before we actually get to start seeing things on the field and start using information as to reason, as to prognostication moving forward. So in these last couple days, I guess 702-365-9200. If there's one piece of information about this team you can learn, a position group, a player, one piece, this training camp, what would that be? What would be that one piece of information that you say, okay, got it, we are good here, good or bad, but you know what that is? For me, and as I was thinking about this over the weekend, my one answer is probably not realistic because you probably don't understand this piece of information until probably a month into the season. But if I had to pick, there's one nugget of information about this team you learned this training camp that sets you forward, it's the offensive line. If I could learn what the Raiders have in their offensive line, that's what I would want to know. Because for me, that is the jumping off point for really everything they're going to do or not do this season. To me, it plays explicitly with what happens with Fernando, at least the when. It has a lot to do with Ashton Genty year 2. For me, the offensive line plays a ton into Brock Bowers' true ascent as an all-world player for the entire world to see, not just for what we get to see on a daily basis, right? It plays into all of it. So if there's one piece of information that I could steal from training camp and know that's what it is, it's what is the offensive line. Because to me, that dictates a ton ahead of the season. So 702-365-9200. That, for me, I'll get a little bit more specific as to what I want to learn, but that is the basis of what I'm looking for when we keep asking our guests, where do your eyes go? Where do your eyes go? Obviously, it's the quarterback position. There's a lot of secondary action. For me, that offensive line, and that's the thing that's almost frustrating. Practice is going to start on Wednesday. You're really not going to learn a hell of a lot until the pads go on with those guys in terms of what's happening. You can get an idea. You can glean some information. You can see where the tendencies are from the team, what direction they want to go. But until those pads go on, until that cohesion really starts, that's the interesting part about it with training camp.
Well, it has to, because I'll tell you what, right now, if you want to help the defense, the offense needs to stay on the field a little bit longer, right? I mean, that's the best way to help your defense, which is also a area of concern. There's a lot of unknowns on the defense as well. Even though the Raiders did a good job in drafting, they did a good job in bringing guys in, in free agency. It all made sense. Every good team always wants to help their defense by keeping the defense as fresh as possible. And how does that start? With prolonged drives. And how do you do that, Vince and Clay? Well, number one, you got to run the ball. You got to be able to control the line of scrimmage so that you can dictate how you're going to play offense, the pace that you're going to play offense, whether you can run the ball or not. Protect your quarterback. That comes into play too, because if you want to extend drives, you got to hit plays on third downs. You got to give your quarterback time to throw the ball. So it literally all starts with the Raiders' offensive line, because a successful offensive line, a good offensive line, which would allow you to play at your pace, which would allow you to run the ball, not at will. Of course, that the other team gets paid as well, but be able to run the ball successfully and not, hand the ball off to Ashton Genty and it's minus 1 yard or plus 2 yards. Call on the punter and now it's a 3rd and long and you can't protect your quarterback, and so he's got to rush the ball out or he gets sacked. You know what I'm saying? So if you want this thing to have any chance to be successful in terms of playing the way you want to and playing to your strengths and maybe covering up some weaknesses, you have to be able to establish an identity at the from the offensive line and be able to control things offensively, because that can control or at least help manage pretty much everything else on your roster, both sides of the ball. So I'm not even saying, hey, I would love to find out what the Raiders' offensive line is all about during training camp. We need to find out what the Raiders' offensive line is capable of doing in training camp. And I will say this. I've seen enough bad offensive lines with the Raiders that we made the call literally in training camp. You can tell, even when it was against their defensive line. Sometimes that defensive line was pretty good back in 2024, mm-hmm. at least to start off. Mm-hmm. It was a very good looking defensive line, and the defensive line kicked the Raiders' offensive line's ass day after day after day after day, affected everything. And then last year, even with a somewhat watered-down Raiders defensive line, you could pretty much tell, that's going to be a problem again. So it's not like we, can't tell by watching. We've been able to tell the last couple of years that it was going to be dire straits on the offensive line. If that can just turn into, we should be able to see, we will be able to see if it's improved, and whether it's significantly, incrementally, whatever. It just needs to be better. It needs to look better, and so we'll be able to tell even before they get to Houston, and that's going to tell a lot, but we can tell along the way, okay, this will give the Raiders a little bit of a chance. This will give Kirk Cousins or Fernando Mendoza a chance. This will allow Ashton Genty to do Ashton Genty things. This will allow the quarterback to have some time to get the ball to Brock Bowers. This will allow the defense to go over there and rightfully be able to sit down and watch and study whatever it was that they did on the field and get some rest so they're fresh on the next series and the next series after that, and so on and so forth. So not only can we tell, we need need to see that in training camp because that's where it all starts.
You bring over somebody like Clint Kubiak to run your team. Even he knows the most important facet is getting this offensive line fixed in order for the proof of concept of how the running backs, wide receivers, and everything else will gel. But more importantly, you have your top asset on your team, the number one overall pick. As a young quarterback like Fernando Mendoza, he cannot go into a situation where the offensive line is anything but above average. And what's intriguing about this year is that the offensive line has a lot of names that we saw from last year competing for spots. So it's like, what is this iteration of this year's talent base and the offensive line going to provide Clint Kubiak now as this team begins to roll along with a new identity on offense?
Well, it starts with competent coaching, all right? So, and I've had enough people tell me that last year was the antithesis of competent coaching. It was absurdly bad. Let's put it that way. I have people tell me that to this day they go watch some of that, and are just like aghast at how bad it really was. Guys just doing things off their own, not because they weren't smart, not because they weren't talented, because they weren't being coached. Period. Exclamation. Full stop. And it was so apparent. It was talked about at the time. It's been talked about retrospectively. So number one, better coaching, competent coaching with Rick Dennison and his group and Andrew Janocko and all of those, all of those offensive tentacles working together to be able to give these guys a chance to go out there and be a cohesive unit. There is talent on this offensive line. These guys were drafted where they were drafted for a reason, and it's not like the Raiders made massive reaches. Everyone that they've drafted along the offensive line comes with a pedigree, comes with talent, comes with a backstory that suggests, hey, yeah, they were drafted exactly where they were supposed to be. Some were a little bit lower, or than they were projected to be, which is always a good thing. But the fact of the matter is, there is talent there, and it's been supplemented by Tyler Lindenbaum. Hopefully Colton Miller stays healthy. That's a massive difference over at left tackle. But there's young guys in the building that have promise, that have talent, that have potential. Now they need to be coached up. So that change alone should at least give this offensive line a chance to be a competent group. And right now, I'll take competent. Above average, we'll see about that. But competent would go a long, long way toward the Raiders getting a solid foundation under them.
702-365-9200 is the number we want to hear from you. I opened up the conversation a little generic with the offensive line, maybe the low-hanging fruit. But let's get specific. Coming up, I'm going to tell you exactly the player I need to know what he is, what is happening by training camp's end. Fair or unfair, that's what I want to know. We'll get to that coming up. Want to hear from you. Again, 702-365-9200. We're opening up the phones on a Monday, the week of Raiders training camp. Yeah. Where are you, Raider Nation? We need you. We want to hear you. What do you need to learn this training camp? Your thoughts coming up, but first.
Man, I'm already getting hungry, you guys. And if you're like me, Vince and Clay, you crave really good Mexican food. And how about some really good Mexican food that's been doing it right for generations? And it's time for Sal's Restaurant, a Central Valley tradition since 1942. We're talking about the kind of food that keeps people coming back. Stacked burritos, sizzling fajitas, legendary enchiladas, and those award-winning tamales that everybody's talking about. And here's the best part. Whether you're in Selma, Madera, or Fresno, Sal's has a location for you. Plus, Raider Nation, listen up. Sal's is all about the silver and black. Game day, training camp practices, preseason games, fight night, if you go down that path, anytime. This is your spot. Can't make it in? No problem. You can get Sal's delivered straight to your door wherever you are. Just go to salsmexicanrestaurant.com. That's salsmexicanrestaurant.com and place your order right now. They'll deliver it to you wherever you are. Don't wait. Don't settle. Sal's Mexican Restaurant, tradition, flavor, and Raider pride served up fresh every single day.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the morning.
Smith is under center. He moves. Trey Tucker in motion. It's a handoff off left guard to Ashton Jenney. Stutters the ball. And he's got the speed to the near side. Jenney to the 30. Breaks a tackle 20. Jenney. Good. Deuces goodbye. Ashton Jenney, a 64-yard touchdown. And for the first time in his Raiders career, he breaks one off to the end zone.
That's the voice of the Raiders. Jason Horwitz, Week 4. Raiders hosting the Bears in that 64-yard touchdown where Kurt goes, he gone. You thought that was the spark that was going to light the fire the rest of the way, right? And while it was a highlight, no doubt, it was too few. Mm-hmm. I think if you would ask, well, I have asked Genty, and he'll be the first to admit that, he expected more of those types of plays. Lots of reasons why. We're not going to dig in. We're looking ahead to the future. But when you look at that starting offensive line, it was Colt Miller, Dylan Parham, Jordan Meredith, Jackson Powers-Johnson, DJ Glaze. And if you recall, that was the game where Colton goes down. Jordan Meredith, while still on the team, not at least at this particular juncture, a guy you think is going to be a starter moving forward.
Yeah.
And obviously Dylan Parham no longer in the equation here. So it's going to be very different from what that particular play was moving forward. And so when we ask the question, 702-365-9200, what's the piece of information you want to learn? If you could learn one thing from training camp, whether about position group, a player, whatever it may be, what is that one thing this training camp? I open up the conversation by talking about the offensive line. Clay, Vinny, you echoed my thoughts in terms of that's kind of where it all starts. And that's really the foundation, the bedrock of this team moving forward. But if we're going to really get specific, and I would like our callers, our texters, 702-365-9200, I want to hear specifics. I want to know what exactly about the offensive line, who you want to learn about. And for me, again, might be low-hanging fruit. I want to know what Jackson Powers-Johnson is. That's the one piece of information I would love to learn. As many young guys as there are along the offensive line, I still consider him a young guy going into year 3. But that's the one guy, and it's not because of his polarizing nature, because he's I want the football player. I know what he is as a personality. He's a great person. He's awesome, fun to talk to. Love chatting with him in the locker room. None of that stuff is in question. It is, what are you? What are you? That's what I need to know, because for me, again, a lot of answers get answered. A lot of questions get answered, I should say, with that one. What is he? Is he your starting guard? One of them. Or is he not? If he's not, that sucks, because he was an investment just like the other draft picks and things of that nature, and high hopes and all that great stuff. But if he is, all right, away we go. Live up to the potential. Live up to how you speak, right? And how others speak about you. Wasn't Adam Butler? This guy could be a Pro Bowler. This guy could be high-level player.
Yeah.
And that's a guy who's been around the block or two. Mm-hmm. So when we're talking about what pieces of information do we want to learn about, know about by training camp's end, for me, what is Jackson Powers-Johnson in this offense, with this team, with this coaching staff?
And Adam Butler's description is what makes this such a frustrating situation for people in the building, because there is a belief that he has that type of ability as well within the building. But there isn't anyone, I don't think, inside the building that can make a call right now on how this is all going to turn out, because it literally ranges from him being that type of a player to him getting traded at the end of training camp because somebody just took his job and he just didn't respond to the challenges. That's as curious as we are about this, and the fan base is about this. Everybody in the building has that same curiosity, and the range of scenarios and outcomes literally ranges from that. And and it's hard to make a call on that. He just hasn't been out there enough between the health right? And that's been a constant issue with him, and we're not, throwing him under the bus. As you said, he's a tremendous human being. This is never ever there's always two distinctions with me, and I know you guys share this. It's the football player and the human being. The human being's great. That's not even a part of this. It's the football player, and we have to talk about that because there's 53 roster spots. There's 11 starting spots, on an offense. There's 8 offensive linemen that dress out each game, if that sometimes. So it's important. This is a very important factor in the whole scheme of things for the Raiders is how Jackson Powers Johnson responds to his third year and the opportunities that are there for him because the train's not going to stop for him. It's not going to slow down for him. And as I said, the range of outcomes is as extreme as you could possibly think of for any of the players that's on this roster right now. So it's on him to A, stay healthy, B, go out there and play competitive football, smart football, not reckless football, and prove that he's the right guard for the now and hopefully the long term. Or you got to move aside because somebody's taking your job and your roster spot around here isn't even guaranteed beyond that.
And like what Adam Butler said, that could be very good, could be great. The word could cannot be around any longer when you're in your third year. The potential and the promise, all that's over with. Now it's show me results. And I think for JPJ, it's about show me consistency.
Yeah, again, just the wild swings of play, I think is as equally frustrating as the injuries, right? Because the injuries are going to happen. Like, it's hard for me to ever blame a player for an injury. That being said, again, your best ability is your availability.
That's true.
But that is the one thing that more often than not is out of your control, right? So that's the part where it's like you feel for him. Vinny, I think you said it well, though. This train's not stopping, right? They have built in now depth and pieces and players and youth, specifically along that position, that it's nobody's waiting for anybody. So
you can't.
You have to go get it. And the other thing you said was, take advantage of the opportunities. The opportunity is there for JPJ. While he might be in a battle, he definitely is in that camp battle at that right guard spot. I still think he's in the driver's seat of it, though. That's the beauty of it for him, is that he holds his destiny in his hand right now.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And there's a lot of people that would be high-fiving if it worked out. There's a lot of people that are in the building that were part of drafting Jackson Powers Johnson. So anytime, a homegrown hits, that's cause for celebration throughout all the scouts, and everyone else that had a hand in bringing him into this building. So, privately, not that they're necessarily rooting for an outcome, because they also drafted Caleb Rogers.
Yeah.
They also drafted, Trey Zune. So there's a lot of pride and just personal investment in all of these guys. But him winning the job and him being the player that the Raiders thought they were getting when they drafted him in the second round a couple of years ago would be an organizational win. So everyone's rooting for that. Everyone would love to see that happen. But at the same time, everyone in there has been around long enough to know, okay, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But you can't just keep trying to make it work when it's just not working. So, and to your point, there are other options now on the roster. They have done a good job of beefing it up so that if that doesn't work out on Jackson Powers Johnson's end, it's not like they have to go to some street free agent to try to fill that job. There's players that were drafted in premium draft spots that are there ready to potentially take that job and solve that issue.
And that's the other big point. That's the other piece of this conversation that is different from a year ago, right? And this is no disrespect to Alex Kappa, but Alex Kappa is not the one he's battling, right? It's another drafted Raider. It's two drafted Raiders, right? in Zune and Caleb Rogers.
Right. I would be shocked, Vince, right? And I'm sure you would be too. There are times, let's face it, We'll just go back to quarterback a couple of years ago. Nobody won the job a couple of years ago between Aiden O'Connell and Gardner. Nope. Nobody won that job. There when we talk about competition.
No.
Everybody understands that's been doing this and watching this. Everyone understands that there's time where, well, he didn't really win it. He was just he wasn't as bad as the other guy, quite honestly. Like, he's the best option of a bunch of bad options. There's that type of competition, and it happens. And there are teams across the league that are dealing with that situation right now. Maybe the Raiders are, to a certain extent, at a certain position. I don't really necessarily see it. I have seen it with the Raiders, and the offensive line has been one of those areas where you didn't really win it. It just was the better option over some bad options. I would be shocked if that was the case this year. I feel like there are some actually good options from left to right, all the way across the board. So, yes, this is one of those situations where, all right, you won it by default, man, because the guy next to you, he's even worse than you are. And I'm sorry, but that sometimes is the case. I don't think that that's going to be the case this year. So not only does Jackson Powers Johnson have to earn it, he has to earn it not by default, but by literally earning it, by beating out a couple of players that have every intention, every design, and every motivation, and the talent to take your job.
702-365-9200. If there's one piece of information that you could learn, find out, uncover this training camp, what would it be? We want to hear from you. We'll get your thoughts coming up next. But right now, it is time to continue our summer of fun. Raider Nation Radio 920, Terribles. We've brought back the summer of fun, and our giveaways continue. It's a new week, which means a new destination for you to have a chance to win a trip to. And this week, kicking off on July 27th, 2026, is the Grand Canyon and Sedona trip. Ooh. Have we been to Grand Canyon or Sedona?
Let's go.
Boys, I've been to the Grand Canyon. Yeah. Even the thought of that, standing over those ridges, makes my knees weak. Even now, still thinking about it. But it was a blast.
It's definitely a bucket list. Check those boxes. And Sedona, the mystical Sedona, can't beat it.
That is a good way to describe it. Mystical.
Mystical.
I like that. Sedona, Grand Canyon, the trip for two could be yours. All you got to do is text in the word of the day. It'll take care of your flights and or drive time. Grand Canyon Hotel / Sedona Resort 4-night stay. You text in the word of the day here on a Monday, July 27th. The word of the day is red. Red, Clay. Not red clay. Red.
Red.
Comma, clay. That was the sentence, not red clay, which can be confusing with the Grand Canyon in Sedona because the landscape. Red.
Red. And which red? How do we spell this red?
We spell it R-E-D.
Yeah! Red.
Text in red to 702-365-9200 and you are automatically entered for a chance to win the Sedona Grand Canyon trip, courtesy of our friends here at Terribles and Raider Nation Radio 920.
They're sexy as hell, and I stand by that.
We'll take your comments and questions on X. Follow us at RNR 920 AM. Let's dig into the morning tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920.
I told Rick I'm not going to Vegas without you initially. So, I've told him that in New Orleans. I told him that in Seattle. And I've been really fortunate to get to work with Rick. And, he was the offensive coordinator when I worked with Denver. And he teaches me way more than I've ever told him.
Clint Kubiak talking about Raiders O-line coach Rick Dennison, 4-time Super Bowl champ. Not going to Vegas without you. He did not. Rico is in the fold. And, all right. I guess it's a Monday.
All right, let's hear it.
The Weisenheimers have returned. Daryl on the text line decided to text in red, clay.
Hi, Bob. Bob?
The word of the day is red. And then he followed it up with another text that was REE. Daryl, that does not get you in for the trip. You must text in the word red if you want to go to the Grand Canyon /Sedona.
Vince will not rest until it's spelled correctly. RED. Let's go.
It's unreal. It's unreal.
I love the look of exasperation on Vince's face when this comes in.
Every time. Every time. And that's the thing. It's different people every time. If it was one guy.
Yes.
If it was one Weisenheimer, we would name him by name every time. But it's different people every time doing this.
It's almost like there's a consortium and they're all taking turns at like, how do we tick Vince off? Like, how do we put him over the edge? This is how they do it.
Jokey joke maker. All right.
Let's wipe it clean.
But, as we talk about the offensive line, at least for me, that's the one nugget of information I'm looking for, right? Is the offensive line, if we're really being specific, it's Jackson Powers Johnson. What is it? Are there any more questions for you, fine gentlemen, on it as it pertains to this offensive line, besides what we've already spoken about? Is there anything you would say, look, if I could get one piece of information on this offensive line, it would be what?
I would like to see how they employ the fullback. I'd like to see how the offensive line and a fullback work together in this, because Connor Haywood was brought over for a reason. He was a rather early signee in the free agent draft period. I like the fact that they want to go and try to accentuate Ashton Genty's run game. Fullbacks do that.
That is definitely on my list, but I want to see Jamal McCoy over at cornerback, and I want to see how he looks. I'm just very curious. We got just a very minimal taste of him during OTAs, and understandably so. The bubble wrap is going to be taken off in training camp, and I would imagine that's going to happen pretty early. And 5 days in, when the Raiders get out there with full pads, I know that is going to be a player that I'm going to be focused on, along with Fernando as well. But that's a player that I'm going to be focused on, because I'll tell you what, if he's good to go, he's going to solve a big problem, not a big problem, but he's going to play a big role, I think, for the Raiders sooner than maybe some people think, and maybe even be the starter over there opposite Eric Stokes. And if that is the case, and he's Jamad McCoy that we saw on tape at Tennessee, and that was an extraordinarily good football player, the Raiders defensive backfield with Stokes, and I think Traden Stukes is going to have a big role, and on and so forth in what's looking like a young, talented secondary, that could be a problem for opposing defenses, and that would be a really great thing, and just kind of a wild card bonus jackpot, if you want to call it, for the Raiders if Jamad McCoy is good to go this year.
Gage shares your sentiments, Vinny, up on the text line, and I want to know how well our secondary comes together. Where will Stukes get the majority of his snaps? Is Darian Porter or Jamad McCoy taking CB2? Stukes taking snaps a nickel. Zeke Masses outplay his size. So many questions, but what is the one nugget of information? I got to be honest, I thought Jamad McCoy would be kind of at the top of a lot of people's list for that reason, right? Like, I know everybody's going to be watching, but if you could glean one piece of information that you uncover this training camp, I thought we were going to see, and again, it's still early in the show, but I thought we were going to see a lot more McCoy. Is this top 10 talent from the draft coming to fruition? Are we going to see that this regular season? Because, again, because this is our topic, we got to do what I want. I'll say that too. I want to know that piece of information. Is he cornerback too?
Right, and Vince, if the offensive line wasn't as bad as it was last year, and it wasn't as important that they are better this year, he would be number one, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I would obviously, like, we're acknowledging Fernando is unto himself. Let's face it, that's the whole other story, and obviously that needs to get sorted out as well. But that aside, and the offensive line aside, Jamad McCoy, I think, from the fan base and everyone in the building as well, is a big point of curiosity in this training camp.
702-365-9200. We'll continue to get your thoughts. We'll open up the phone lines in hour number 2, but joining us next, Alexa Belcastro right here on the Morning Tailgate.
This This is the Morning Tailgate.
I'll just tell the Raider Nation that we have to earn your trust. We got to earn those seats in the stands by putting a great product on the field. Words will not do it. It's our actions.
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore, and Clay Baker on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Flying through into hour number 2 here on the Morning Tailgate. It's Raider Nation Radio 920. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore, Clay Baker coming live from Las Vegas on a Monday, July 27, 2026, on the eve of the veterans reporting and the eve's eve of the first practice at Raiders HQ. Training camp is nearly here. And the prognostications, the expectations, everything we have seen on paper will now get put on the grass, put on the field, put to the test over the next few weeks as we get set for the 2026 campaign. And the future is now. Welcome in, everybody. 702-365-9200 is the number. The question we are asking on this day on Monday: if there's one piece of information, one truth you could uncover this training camp, what would it be? The good, the bad, the ugly. Whatever it is. What is that one truth? We'll continue to get your thoughts. Open up the phone lines. Coming up later this hour, but right now we got to get to our next guest. She's number one in our hearts, but she is Alexa Belcastro 2 on the X. News 3 LV host, reporter, anchor, storyteller, friend here on the Morning Tailgate. Alexa, good morning. Welcome.
Good morning, Vince. How's it going?
It's always a great day when we're talking a little pigskin, and that is what we are doing here in hour number 2. And let's just jump right into it. We've been asking our audience, what is the one truth you would like to uncover this training camp for the Silver and Black? I ask you the same question. What is that for Alexa Belcastro?
Oh, I gotta go O-line. That's kind of the big question mark for me, because I think that is going to answer a lot of other questions as far as the run game, when we're going to see Fernando Mendoza. So, yeah, I'll be excited to see where the O-line is at.
No doubt about it. And of the offensive line, and we've talked a lot about Jackson Powers-Johnson, so let's just start there. It feels like if there is one job that's really open along the offensive line at this point, it is at right guard. And it feels like it's shaping up as a Jackson Powers-Johnson, Caleb Rogers, battle. And honestly, Alexa, Caleb played well when he got his opportunity to get on the field last year, so I'm not sleeping on him whatsoever. How do you see that shaping up?
I think you're spot on with that it's going to be a battle. If anywhere on the line, it's going to be right guard, and I think it's going to be a tight battle. I know last year, JPJ kind of had some people were like, maybe the coach doesn't like him. But there was even questions about his personality in the locker room. But I think that was kind of all put to rest. So I'll be curious now, now a new O-line coach, it's kind of going to be a different path for him, and I'll be excited to see what he can do, because I think he has a lot of potential as well.
Funny, when they get the pads on in several days from now, it makes you feel like, will the defensive line actually start having its way with the offensive line like we've seen over the years? It's almost been like clockwork. Do you think that this might be that first year where when the pads come on and they start battling in the trenches, that the offensive line starts winning the early reps and not 2 weeks later?
Yeah, I think definitely. And I think that's going to be also a push for JPJ, because last year it was kind of a free-for-all at the line, and now it's like, all right, you got the best center, one of the best centers in the league. The line's shaping up where you actually need to compete now for your position, and you can't just think you have the job. So, yeah, I think the pads are going to go on. We're going to see competition right out the gate. I think Kubiak's going to set a different tone at camp, where he's going to make sure that everyone's competing for their spot, and it's earned. I think we even saw that at mini camp with the Shield. So he makes sure every rep, every play is earned.
We're talking to Alexa Belcastro here on the Morning Tailgate. Yeah, what's funny about that is I think the tone is going to be there is no tone. It's football. Like, they're going to be about the process, which, again, in at least the last couple, would be a different tone in general. Alexa, one of the other names that continues to pop up, at least on our text line when it comes to if there's one truth you would like to uncover, it's Jermod McCoy. Right? Like this top 10 talent who falls to the fourth round. The Raiders get him. Injury concerns alike. If he hits, and when I say hits, if he goes out and wins that second starter spot alongside an Eric Stokes, how differently do you feel about the defense in general? Or is it still there's too many moving parts for you?
I think he is going, if he stays healthy, like everyone's saying, he's going to be the steal of the draft. And I think we're just going to see a completely different defense out there. We saw the Raiders go and attack the defensive unit in the draft. And there's so many pieces that I like. And the secondary was a huge concern, so if not my biggest. So I think if Jermod McCoy stays healthy, he's going to be a player that I'm really excited to watch.
Alexa, are we sleeping on Jalen Nailor a little bit? And I say that because, so last year he had 29 catches, 444 yards. The year before that, he had 28 catches, 414 yards. Now, granted, he was playing in an offense in Minnesota where it's Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison, so you got to, get in where you can fit in. But then, the production is all right, kind of is what it is. But then you look at the fact that in 2024, of those catches, he averaged 14.8 yards per catch. And then last year, it went up to 15.3. This is a dude that when he has been afforded an opportunity, he makes things happen. And the long ball or the ability to catch and run or just catch long balls is there, obviously, as evidenced by those yards per catch. Are we sleeping on him a little bit going into his first year with the Raiders?
I think so. I've been behind him since, the Raiders picked him up. And I think also how he's going to fit into Kubiak's offense. Kubiak wants receivers who can stretch the field, block in the run game, line up in multiple spots. And I think he's capable of all of that. He's explosive. He's fast. So, yeah, I think so. And obviously, playing behind someone like Justin Jefferson, you weren't able to see his full potential, but there was flashes. And I think we're just going to see more of those.
Staying with the offense, Alexa, for the running back position with Ashton Jeanty, we also have seen how Clint Kubiak last year with the Seahawks was able to kind of use a two-back duo. Do you find Ashton Jeanty will continue to have the majority of snaps, we're talking like 260 to 300 rushing attempts, or will he be spelled with somebody like Mike Washington?
I think he will continue to get majority of the snaps, but I'll be curious now that the Raiders can run more of a two-back system, because last year was kind of iffy, like who else is going to be our running back. Right. I think it'll be better for Ashton Jeanty on him physically as well, because obviously, they want some longevity out of him. So now it's going to be good that they can rotate in multiple backs. And Kubiak's known for, historically rotating in multiple backs to keep them fresh. That doesn't mean he's not going to be the focal point. I think it just means he won't play 90 to 100% of the snaps.
Mm-hmm. Alexa, this isn't not necessarily breaking news, but I just saw it again, and it kind of segues into what we're talking about. You talked about the offensive line kind of being, the one thing, how it's going to uncover a lot of other things. And one of the things I mentioned in hour number one is how it's going to, help decide what the quarterback situation is going to be in training camp, at least when Fernando starts, if he starts out of the gate. If not, Ashton Genty excelling in year 2, and Brock Bowers kind of being the guy that, football people all understand. He probably is the best tight end in the National Football League. Madden, for some reason, has Trey McBride as a 99 overall and Brock Bowers as a 93.
Whoa.
Now, this has been out for a few weeks, but I was out when it happened. And so, Vinny brought up, are we sleeping on Jalen Naylor? Is the rest of the NFL still sleeping on Brock Bowers?
That's crazy. I did not see that, but I guess so. And I think part of that, unfortunately, is because, he's been on a Raiders team that hasn't seen much success. But I don't know how you sleep on him. That one-handed catch last year, there's so many plays where you're like, this guy.
Yeah, which one-handed catch? He's had many. He is a freak of an athlete. If you're sleeping on Brock Bowers, it's time to tune in. And I think now that the Raiders have some talent where people are going to want to turn their attention to them more, hopefully more people are going to have their eyes on Brock Bowers, because that's crazy.
Yeah, it is, and my bet is on people rethinking that by the end of the year. But again, some of that's predicated on the offensive line, giving whoever the quarterback is, time to go get the ball as much as possible to Brock Bowers. And I think the question of who that quarterback is going to be is a pretty big question as well. We're dancing around it a little bit, going with offensive line Jermon McCoy. I think we all understand that quarterback job is sort of unto itself, and that's a race that we're all going to be keeping an eye on. But how curious, even on day one, when the Raiders get out there in shorts and shoulder pads and hats, and Fernando gets a chance to get out there, and we know that he's going to be sprinkled in on some first-team reps. How curious are you on where Fernando stands on day one of training camp when they get out on the field?
I'm very excited. I think every practice we saw, mini camp, even since his first day of rookie camp, we saw him progress more and more, especially at under center. And so I'll be curious to see if he's made some improvement there. But I think at the end of the day, Fernando Mendoza is the future. So when people, are questioning, is it going to be Kirk? Is it going to be Fernando? Right now it's looking like Kirk. But I think Kubiak wants all the pieces to feel right. Not only Fernando looking like the better quarterback, but also, the offensive line looking better? Is the run game established? Do we know that there's offensive weapons for him? I think there's just so many pieces that they also want to be built around him, separate from his play. But yeah, I'm excited to see his progression, because that kid, he's definitely been on the field every day since we saw him last, so I don't doubt it that we'll see a better quarterback out there.
In your mind, what would be the ideal best-case scenario for that transition to happen from Cousins to Mendoza?
I think when we watch a game and we say, I kind of mentioned this a few times, last year just didn't feel like anything was cohesive. Mm-hmm. And I think looking out there and being like, all right, they have established protection, they're keeping them in base defense, they have a run game. I think once you see all of that in place, then I would be like, why not? Why not put your future out there? If you feel comfortable in your protection, you feel like you have some weapons, then I feel like there's really no reason to not put him out there. So it's almost kind of like based on the rest of the team, I feel like, when we're going to see Fernando Mendoza on the field.
Okay, yeah.
How would you describe what you believe we're going to get from Max Crosby?
wow. Yeah, that he definitely has a chip on his shoulder for two reasons. Because, I mean, the Raiders did do a deal. You know, they said, like, yes, we know you're great talent. Granted, they needed some more weapons. But, you know, in Max Crosby's mind, he's saying, all right, did you think I'm not good enough? Or, you know, and then the trade doesn't go through. So another team's telling him, oh, we don't know if you're going to be healthy. And an athlete like him, who is just a freak of nature, I think those are so many messages that he's going to interpret as fuel for this season. And we're just going to see another level to Max Crosby's game.
Well, do you think we're going to see him on day one? Is he going to be ready to go day one, or is he going to be ready to go day one of when pads come on? Because we've all seen and we've all watched Max Crosby just wreck practices, and I know that he's itching to do that again. And quite honestly, from the offensive line's perspective, we're going to get a really good read on the offensive line if Max Crosby is Max Crosby to start camp. But what are your expectations for that?
I don't know. Honestly, I'm excited to see because, I don't know. We've seen videos of him warming up. It's kind of like this suspenseful. He looks good too,
right? He looks good.
We really don't know, and I mean, obviously, like, you know, we've heard the doctors and the team say that he'll be cleared by camp, but what does that mean exactly? Does that mean full pads? We don't know. So I'm really excited to see.
How do you think he'll provide that certain kind of leadership that he always has, especially now knowing that his friend Rob Leonard is now captaining, you know, as a defensive coordinator? Max is going to be asked to do the normal leadership that he normally does on the field. How do you think that'll work? Because it seems like this defense in of itself kind of will master itself and mimic itself on the aggressiveness that Max brings. Maybe we find a more aggressive defense. How do you think it'll look this part of the year in training camp?
I think Rob Leonard is the perfect fit for Max Crosby, and that's probably, you know, why Max has advocated for him a lot. He is more aggressive in that 3-4 scheme. He likes to blitz, you know, so that's the perfect combination for him. And they already have a personal relationship as well, so that helps. But Max Crosby, to me, is kind of just like, it's almost a movie, because how his story has unfolded this offseason is pretty special, because I think this is a guy who is meant to be a Raider. I think it probably hurt the Raiders to even, initiate this trade, and vice versa. So now that all the pieces have fallen into place, he got his guy as defensive coordinator. He got more weapons on the defense. You know, you got now hopefully an offensive line. Like, it just feels like almost a fairy tale ending. Like, now Max Crosby's back on the Raiders. The pieces are in place. So I think that he's going to notch up his leadership as well.
All right, Alexa Belcastro. Follow her on the X at Alexa Belcastro 2. There's 3. We appreciate you, Alexa. Can't wait to see you out on the field. And I have a good feeling the first person we're going to hear out on the field yelling is going to be the Condor himself. I think that's a safe bet.
Can't wait to see you guys in person very soon.
Yes, it is back. Alexa Belcastro. Alexa, thanks so much.
Thanks, Alexa.
Next time we chat with Alexa, we're going to be breaking down training camp film, things that we see.
Observations.
You know what would be a real storybook with Max Crosby? All this. And it would be movie trailer-esque. Would be the start right now, right, Vinny? Then over there in La La Land. Defensive Player of the Year. Raiders heading to the playoffs.
Ooh, wow.
After the that's a storybook.
That'd be great.
Like, in terms of
that's a great story.
That chip and him coming with that heat, that vengeance, vigilante.
Netflix movie.
Made for Netflix. It's not made for TV anymore. It's made for Netflix movie.
Well, as somebody that lived the Kobe Bryant, I'm never playing for the Lakers again summer, right? And there were deals to be made. Trust me. There was one that he actually turned down. He rejected it, or Clay would be talking about Kobe Bryant with the Detroit Pistons, but that didn't happen because Kobe said, "No, I'm not going to go there." But they were close. They were close with Chicago. But anyway, the whole summer telling everybody, including us, I'm never playing for the Lakers again. He ended up playing for the Lakers again, and that next season is when they traded for Pau Gasol, and once that happened, which was that was Kobe's biggest complaint, was that you said you were going to build around me. I don't see you guys building around me. When are you going to start building around me and getting me players that we need to win championships? That next season is when they traded for Pau Gasol, and the Lakers ended up going to 3 straight NBA Finals and winning 2 straight after losing that first one to the Celtics. So you talk about storybook endings, and I know that Max Crosby is a huge Kobe Bryant fan and a huge fan of sports and sports stories, and that's all he's ever been longing to do, is to have a storybook story and write his own storybook story and play on the kind of big stages that his contemporaries do and guys like his heroes like Kobe Bryant have. So yes, without question, if that can turn around and this story, this winter of discontent and this trade that happened and didn't happen can ultimately turn into that kind of a story, that's the type of stories that we love writing, you love talking about on TV, we love talking about on radio as well. That would be pretty much as perfect as it could get.
So the reason I brought up the Brock Bowers question, because there's 6 players in the Madden 99 club. And again, I know it's a video game, and we got real football to talk about. I was a little stunned that if there was a tight end that was 99, I would have guessed it would have been Brock Bowers. Oh, but it's Trey McBride, and you can't.
He's
even
pretty good. Yeah,
I'm not saying
good.
He's not. I'm just. Yeah. It's one of those things.
I just think it's coming off the injury. That's got to be it, right?
It can only be it, because it can't. It's not market, because Arizona's kind of. I don't want to be rude, but like, there's not a lot of people talking about the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah,
right?
Except for he's about the only thing that they do. Actually, it's kind of funny when you look at the Cardinals. I'm just saying, because I've had to, I'm taking a broader view. They got some pretty good skill players, to be honest with you. They've got, the Ohio State wide receiver
Marvin Harrison Jr.
They got Marvin Harrison. Now they got Jeremiah Love. They've got the tight end McBride. Like they got, Mike LaFleur is now the head coach. If they could ever get themselves a quarterback, and maybe it's next year with, who knows, C.J. Carr, Arch Manning, whoever that is going to be walking into a pretty good situation, with their skill players. But I digress. Face it. Don't think for a second, Vince, and I know that you love this. You know that this is motivating Brock Bowers. Like, you want this. The Raiders want this. Whatever slight, whatever chip, Brock needs to put on those broad shoulders of his, right? And they are broad. That's a great thing. So, we should be celebrating.
Yeah. I just, again, it was a little jarring to see it. This is happening in real time for me when I saw the 99 club. Like, you're seeing the likes of Myles Garrett. Got it. Obviously, that makes sense. You're seeing Stafford. Or no, is it Stafford? Yeah, Stafford's on the 99 club. Jamar Chase, Jackson Smith and Jigba, Josh Allen, and then Trey McBride. It's like, what? Again, I digress. And how dare you say the Cardinals are looking for a quarterback next year? They just drafted Carson Beck.
Oh,
how dare you? What is your problem?
You guys know now that I work for the California Post, right? And I'm not a believer in Carson Beck, but hey, good for him. I am a people person, so if it does work out for him, fantastic. But you guys know that I work for the California Post now, which is the New York Post basically, but just in California. So I get all the emails from the New York Post people too, like the guys, the mass emails.
Yeah.
So literally, as you were talking, I got a phone. It was from some guy in the New York Post saying, "Hey, I got 4 Mets tickets available for tonight's game." I don't know why that's making me laugh right now, but it's just like,
did you hit it? I'll take them. I was like, somehow.
I could be there in 5 hours. No, I didn't. And,
that's a shame.
So I wonder. My question is he actually does he really think that he's going to get some dough out of that, or is he just offering him up like, hey man, I'm giving him out first come first serve?
I would imagine if you're offering him up in a mass email like that, especially at work, you're
highest bidder.
Yeah.
Especially at work. Yeah, exactly.
702-365-9200. Let's get back to your thoughts, your calls. We'll open up the phone lines. What's the one truth you would like to uncover this training camp for the Silver and Black? Your thoughts next here on the Tailgate. But first,
hey guys, when it comes to your health, when it comes to your weight, when it comes to feeling better, and you know that all of those things are very important, how long have you been saying, I'll just start tomorrow? Well, guys and gals, the tomorrows are running out. But here's the thing. You could really take advantage of an opportunity right now at CityMD. If you're tired of feeling sluggish, frustrated with your weight, dealing with daily aches and pains, or just not feeling like yourself, it's time to take control. CityMD in Las Vegas offers personalized wellness and weight management programs designed for real, lasting results. But they don't stop there. CityMD also provides advanced pain therapy and primary care, giving you a complete head-to-toe approach to your health. One team, one plan built around you. More energy, less pain, better health, real confidence. So stop putting it off. Give them a call at 725-255-7246. That's 725-255-7246. Ask for our good friends Andy or Claudia, and they will take it from there. Or you can go to CityMD PHP. That's City with an I, MDPHP.com right now and schedule your consultation. CityMD. Stop waiting. Start feeling like yourself again today.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the morning tailgate.
We've been battered and bruised, and we've moved and come back. Our colors don't change. We're silver and black. Commitment to excellence starts up every year. No powers on earth will drown out our cheer. I pledge allegiance to the flag of our mighty silver and black, and unto these colors for which we stand, Raider Nation under a groove, with free speech and liberty. Remember the tools. He who has ears, let him hear. I hereby declare I am a Raiders fan. I am a Raiders fan.
welcome back inside the morning tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. The oath hits a little different this week, doesn't it, Clay? There's a little more, grit behind it.
Yes, it is. Fire, brimstone.
Oh, my.
Brimstone. You smell the sulfur in the air. The earth is cracked open. It's because football is back.
I'll put it this way. This morning, when I looked at myself in the mirror and saw how baked my face looks right now, standing out in the sun the last couple of days, I was like, it's time to go get the I forgot my sunscreen, so I got to definitely do that. So training camp is definitely here, you guys, and my face is already showing that sign. So
what happened to the bucket hat?
Yeah, where's the hat?
Where's not the bucket hat? What the
I hate that stupid hat, man.
What is that hat
I look
called?
like a dork. I don't even know.
It's like a safari hat.
It has a roll though. It helps the back of your neck.
I know.
So out of principle, you chose not wear the safari hat.
No, I just literally forgot it. It's in my trunk too. It's been in my trunk since the last time that's how much I think of that.
Oh, it's in good condition.
At what point did you realize, because this is the worst part, because I just experienced this, obviously for different reasons. I was at the beach, which is for good reasons. But at what point did you realize I'm getting burnt? And not just I am getting burnt, I have already reached that threshold of burnt.
What period
was it? Period 7? 7 on 7?
No, that's the whole point. It wasn't until I saw myself in the mirror like, holy God, the hell is that staring back at me?
Because normally you get that reaction, I know I do, when somebody sees my face and they're like, whoa, Clay, you better, you look red. And that's like period 2. So it's like that's when I know for sure.
Yeah, you don't want that face, the Clint Eastwood face where he's like grimacing.
Just
you know, it's a meme now.
Yeah, just pain.
God,
which actually goes well with our word of the day, summer of fun, red.
Yes,
keyword of the day is red.
The good news is I've got that Italian olive oil skin type thing going on.
It'll just blend.
The red will soon turn into a beautiful, a beautiful brown, but it's going to take a couple of days. So I'm going to quote the producer in The Godfather, Clay. A man in my position can't afford to look ridiculous, but right now I look ridiculous. So there you go. I don't care how many.
Yeah. Just make sure you do me a favor today.
Yes. Yeah.
Open up the trunk.
Yeah,
say hello to the hat.
Say hello to the safari hat.
Yeah. Welcome back.
Put it in the passenger seat.
Yeah.
Don't put it in the trunk anymore. We need you right as rain, Vinny. All right.
Hey, we need to get a. By the way, speaking of which, not just that, but because I was thinking of what else I'm going to be packing with myself on the drive over there today, and partaking in at some point. Have you guys had this drink? It's called Celsius.
Yes.
It's
Did we just discover Celsius?
I'm hooked. What's your favorite flavor? Flavor? They're all good. I like the fruit punch and the cherry cola.
I think I've only had.
And
the
I hate
fruit
cherry
punch.
cola.
Or what's the yellow
really?
one? Is there a yellow one?
There's like a million.
I know,
kinds.
but whatever the yellow one is.
That's like there's a lemonade. There's
probably that one.
Okay.
I think that's the one I've had.
There's a peach vibe is good, but here's the thing: it gives you that nice little. And it's pretty healthy. I chat GP'd. Is that what they call it? I always to this now I'm like kind of on a health nut, and if I have some questions, I go right to the source. And I was like, let me give it to me straight. Is this okay to do or not? Because
it's okay to do.
Tell me, Doc, is it 3 strikes or not?
Yeah, it's like
wait, you're going to chat GPT, not WebMD? Which one are we going to?
Chat.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't have. Can I? Yeah, because it's easy
don't go to
do,
WebMD.
Don't do that.
Because anything you do, you'll think
you're going to die in a week.
You'll never leave your house again.
I stopped doing that.
That's the most positive news. If it's a week, everything else makes you feel like it's done in an hour. Yeah.
Rush to the hospital right now.
Saying goodbyes.
Yeah.
All right. Let's get back to.
Do you have your will lined up?
Yeah, right.
Immediately.
I see these commercials with Matt Stafford and his wife. Should that be me? Right. And she's always smiling. She's always like, boy, when you go off, I'm going to collect.
Too big of a smile, if you ask me.
Yeah.
Too big of a smile.
Very excited.
702-365-9200. If there's one truth you could uncover this training camp, what would it be? I hope I'm saying this name right. I'm probably not. I apologize. Carshius on the text line. The piece of information I want to know is if special teams finally get a kickoff return for a touchdown, because I'm tired of seeing replays of Jacoby Ford from 15 years ago.
What?
I was not ready for that one, but I love that uncovering truth. Malik Benson, step up.
Yeah, and the tough one about that is that they don't do like the full on kicking, tackling.
That
running
remains
the
a mystery for quite a while.
That will be a mystery until they line it up September whatever against the Miami Dolphins, and then so on and so forth. Because you're not gonna. I mean, you could sometimes in preseason, but even at that
let me
point,
ask you this, KJ, because I'm going to say KJ because I feel like I'm butchering the first name, and I really apologize if I am. KJ, would you accept a preseason kickoff return for a touchdown?
Those could be so deceiving, though, because it's such a breakdown. It could be a breakdown between guys that aren't even going to be on the team. When did it happen in the fourth quarter of game one? When you got some guys that aren't even going to be on the team. So that one for me, and I'm right there with them because I've been waiting a long time for a kickoff return, and it feels like kickoff returns now are actually a viable play again in the NFL. There's more teams that want to give you a chance to take one back because they'd rather try to pin you down and have their coverage team go get you. And at least you're getting the chance to do it.
Was that 15 years ago?
I don't know.
2010, December 26, 2010.
Oh,
16 years ago. Yikes.
How could that be? Well, then again, I mean, you think about how Kubiak brought over Derek Young, in the early portions of free agency with, an exception of an anticipation of kickoff returns as well as wide receiver play. That's what you want to see. With all the dynamic changes in the rules for special teams, you would hope that the Raiders would eventually hit and find that spark of how they can go and turn the field around offensively with a good return. And even a punt return like Malik Benson, Trey Tucker, what will that look like, as the season progresses?
Yeah, and I think first and foremost out of training camp is can Special K be a viable option as the field goal kicker? I still think they're gonna side on the side of caution and go with Matt Gay, the veteran. But it's not like he's like he's bounced around. He hasn't really given anybody any real reason to think, he's locked down that job. I think that's what they would prefer to happen, only because of the veteran part of it and the reliability of being a veteran. But Special K has a chance to open some eyes in training camp, and for the first time in a long time. I mean, I don't even remember the last time the Raiders had two kickers in training camp, right? So, I mean, that's you're not carrying a second kicker at this stage and using a valuable roster spot on that without real intentions of at least being open-minded about the opening up that for a real competition. I think the way it plays out is that Special K will start the season on the practice squad, and that could be a delayed reaction type of a thing, and maybe at some point he supplants Gay, and then that's the thing. Matt will get every opportunity to just win it and earn it and keep it, but waiting in the wings will be Special K over there on the practice squad, most likely. But anything can happen and things can change come training camp in the preseason, and Special K could say, no, I'm ready to go. Let's do this.
It feels wrong having this conversation without Adam Hill, so I'm sure we will circle back on Wednesday. But that being said, this should absolutely be a competition. I mean, Matt Gay was on two different teams last year, and it wasn't because he was dominating, right? Like, I understand the relationship with him and Joe D, special teams coordinator, and what they were able to do in L.A., and that's great. That's awesome. The trust is there. That's obviously playing into it. But I think there's a real opportunity for Special K, the Tokyo Toe, to come in and you hit your kicks. That's the job. Like, you do that, you're good. So, again, Matt Gay's probably going to get, the driver's seat, the benefit of the doubt, if you will, to begin. But there should be no reason that this isn't a true competition by the definition of that word.
Yeah, and what's very curious to me is how do you even draw that up as a coach? I mean,
that's where you got to. That's where you really. But that's the beauty of having the special teams coach Joe D here, is that he has a wealth of experience and knowledge. And if there's a guy that can put these guys in scenarios that you can't. You can only simulate a game scenario so much for kickers and the game on the line, and 58 minutes and 55 seconds of torture, but for the offense and defense to come down to a kick, right? There's only so much you can simulate. But if there's somebody that can, you would imagine it's him. So
it's like
how you do that in training camp, I don't know. But
either you make this kick or the rest of the team runs 5 miles right now.
Oh boy, 5 miles. That's a hell of a...
You want to talk about pressure? I'm stretching it a bit, but there's ways.
That's a great point.
Well, there needs to be some sort of pressure for Tokyo Toe to work with, because the Mountain West didn't really offer a lot of like stressful times, and pressure packed moments. So can you replicate that as much as possible in practice? Probably not, but he's going to be given a lot of opportunities to go and do that. Can he handle the pressure of the big kicks? Matt Gay has established himself as doing that, and Matt Gay also has had a lot of long distance kicks made. So there's going to be that. Do you have the distance to make the long ones? Can you handle the pressure? That's a lot for a rookie.
As somebody who has gotten some angry looks by some of those players that are going to be out there, and maybe even a few cuss words directed at his way by certain players on the Raiders roster, I could tell you that he doesn't want that to happen. Yeah. So you better make that kick when it's time to run that mile or whatever, and everyone else.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, that's the one thing Special K doesn't have is, like, that experience. It's not just the experience of kicking in those moments; it's the feeling of your teamates.
That's what I'm saying.
Like that's a very real part of it, specifically in training camp.
Yeah, and some dude that wears a jersey number that starts with 9 and ends with 8, right? And this is what I would do. As I was like, and if you don't make it, and they're going to run the mile, and you get to sit right here in the middle of the field and watch it, and let them go pay for your.
Yeah, that's the worst.
So you got to really drum this up.
Have to run.
No, of course not.
Yeah, that's always that's always the funniest part to me as somebody who doesn't have to be involved in it.
Yeah.
Is you're gonna miss a kick? Okay, start running. No,
Check this
not
out.
you. You get to watch and you get to count their laps and make sure they can hear it too.
Right. I would do it the Swedish Mile way too. I don't know if you guys know what that is.
Yeah.
Where you line the whole team up, and then the guy that's last in the line has to sprint up to the front. Yeah.
While everyone's still moving.
Yeah, right.
Everyone's
exactly.
still jogging.
Yeah. So talk about a different time in football. We're talking about kickers and creating a competition, and how do you drum that competition up and the pressure up in practice situations. Those are one way that coaches do that. I remember covering UCLA back in the day. It was a UCLA practice, and Clay, you probably remember Bob Toledo, the head coach at UCLA at the time.
Yeah, longtime coach.
You talk about a different way of doing things, and it involved his offensive line. I still can't believe that he did this, but it was how time was back in the day. All right, so that was when hitting was actually allowed in footballs, right? So or practice, I should say. And so if you were a tackle or a guard, but let's just say the left tackle, and you and who you were blocking sacks your quarterback, he would set up scenarios where you as the tackle now get to hold the ball behind the line of scrimmage, and we're just going to send some guy flying 100 miles an hour into your back and tackle you right now. Like literally, that's how he would make the offensive lineman pay for their transgression of allowing the quarterback to get sacked. Is that just stand there, and we're not even going to say when. We're not even going to blow a whistle. You're going to have your back to the guy who's rushing you. You're not going to know when he's coming.
Yeah, you got to feel it.
You're not going to know anything. You're just going to stand there, and at some point we're going to send this big old dude right and drill you right in the back. And it was like it was macabre, man. It was like, are you kidding me right now? Or like, he's like, well, how is he supposed to know like what he's causing back there? By getting his quarterback hit in the blind side if he doesn't experience it himself. I'm like, oh, okay, Coach Toledo. So yeah, that's how they used to do that.
Yeah, let's put that in the suggestion box, see if Clint Kubiak wants to. 702-365-9200. More of your thoughts. What's the one truth you want to uncover this training camp for the Silver and Black? Next.
We'll take your comments and questions on X. Follow us at RNR 920 AM. Let's dig in to the morning tailgate on Raider Nation Radio 920.
Welcome back inside the morning tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. 702-365-9200. What is the one truth you are looking to uncover this training camp for the Silver and Black? Out to the phones we go. Well, look who we have here. Raider Mike. Good morning. Welcome back, sir.
Been a minute, Vince.
Where you been?
Been a minute. Missed you, bro.
We've been here. Where have you been? What are you doing?
I'm in Siberia working, but our crane broke down. It's pulling the sediment out of the lake. So I got a day off. Watch The Odyssey. Fantastic movie, by the way. Unbelievable movie. Christopher Nolan he's a maestro. He's a wizard. Love that guy. And Matt Damon pulled the performance off, which I was kind of skeptical on that, but he killed it. So anyway, what do I want to see? Paisans. My biggest one, it's a tie. I'm going to go defense, offense. JPJ, of course, my fellow Duck. I've been pulling him for him since day one. It's just been the way he's been treated has been a fiasco to me. And last year was just the biggest fiasco of it all. So if he gets a fair shake, he's going to be what Adam said he's going to be and what I've always thought he would be as well. He's going to be a badass. He's going to be a Rich Incognito, a leader, a guy that just is feared by the rest of the league. And then McCoy, if that dude is what I think he's going to be, our defense is going to be incredible. We haven't had 2 lockdown corners since Lester and Mike Haynes. So if we can get that was always our formula when we were winning rings. You have to have the 2 lockdown corners. And if McCoy is that guy, we got it. Anyway, it's good to hear your voice again, Vince. Miss you, Paisans. Clay, Vinny, I'm out. Raiders! Bye, boys. Peace.
All right.
Let's rate Mike. Let's rate Mike. I want to go see the Odyssey. Did you see it?
No. But I want to see it.
All right.
What's it about? I've heard a lot about it. I've been so busy that I haven't had a real chance to kind of figure out what is this about? What's this?
We'll get to it on the other side.
Is it like a sci-fi thing or is it like a realistic thing?
Yes. Case Keefer of the Las Vegas Sun set to join us next here in the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
Deuce! Goodbye! Into the end zone! 60 yards! Touchdown Raiders!
With Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore, and Clay Baker.
It's the trifecta for Bowers! His 3rd touchdown of the game! And the Raiders with a chance to win it!
On Raider Nation Radio 920.
It's hour number 3 here in the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. Vince Sapienza, Vinny Bonsignore, Clay Baker coming to you live from Las Vegas here on a Monday, July 27, 2026. On the flagship for the Silver and Black, it is training camp week for the Raiders. The vets report tomorrow, first practice Wednesday, and away we go. Vinny, did you look up the Odyssey?
No, I didn't. I am, like I said, I am...
Trojan War? Mythical
Trojan
creatures?
War, okay. Mythical, oh gosh.
Homer just wants to get home, but it takes him 10 years.
Mythical to some, maybe. We weren't around that time period. We don't know.
A story.
So this is definitely not an Adam Hill special, right?
It might.
Because you know his edict, right? He does not. If it can't happen in real life,
he won't watch it.
He ain't watching.
Yeah.
So Weekend at Bernie's, that's a 10 out of 10. Odyssey,
Weekend at Bernie's definitely could happen, and I'm sure has happened.
Great movie. That was Clay will remember this. Back in the day when HBO was just kind of starting, right? And on summer days, Clay, how many times during the week was Weekend at Bernie's on HBO?
Yeah, quite often. And then you just waited for Weekend at Bernie's 2, 3, and 4, just so you could get the full effect of what it could be like.
We should have
Clay. You were just waiting for the after hours HBO. Let's face it.
The mature subject matter.
And on that note, let's get mature and bring in our next guest.
If the N-word was involved, we were watching.
The Las Vegas Sun's own Case Keefer. I don't know how to segue out of that one, Case, but here we are.
I'm pretty sure Weekend at Bernie's has actually happened with Adam, so you guys can just bring it all together. I'm sure he's been in those situations.
No doubt.
Oh, well played, sir. Well played. What's up, Case? Happy training camp week to you, and I'm sure you're celebrating by getting ready to type and write a billion words. So we'll just kick off our conversation with the topic of the day. If you could uncover one truth from this 2026 version of the Raiders in training camp, what would that be?
Ooh, one truth. I mean, I feel like the easy answer that everyone's going to be looking at is who should be starting at quarterback week 1.
You don't choose the easy answer, Case. You don't do that.
That's true. You guys are one truth. I mean, what's more important? It's just so much higher than everything else that I feel like you have to do that one. But I guess maybe put it up there in a tier of its own and give it an asterisk. And then beyond that, maybe to stick with the offensive theme, just how much of an improvement can this offensive line make? So I think a lot of the problems last year obviously stemmed from that. I've really convinced myself that I think there's zero doubt they're going to be a lot better from a run blocking perspective. I think adding all the money with Linderbaum and just the scheme change, I think they'll be way better run blocking. I'm still a little bit worried about the pass protection. So maybe if I can have an idea of just, where the offensive line is going to slot in overall, that might be a secondary topic. But, I got some hot takes on this show, but going above the quarterback, I think that's got to be number one.
See, that's typical Vince right there. Because that was his choice. He just wanted validation that his choice was the right choice. See,
hey,
that's
what?
how it.
Guess what? Who won? This guy.
Well, yeah, I guess I'll give it to you, Vince. But Case, say what you really wanted to say. Don't get bullied by Vince over there, in the captain's chair, making you say what he wanted you to say. Say what you were going to say about the quarterbacks. I want to hear what you had to say about that.
I feel like they're going with Kirk Cousins. I feel like the writing's on the wall that he should be the week one guy. And, I'm really confident right now in the power structure the Raiders have in place between Tom Brady, John Spytek, and Clint Kubiak. I think they're going to do the right thing. And if they think that's the right thing, who am I to say otherwise? However, if it's me and I was running a team and I had that number one overall draft pick, and just what do we know about the NFL is just what a weapon these rookie contracts can be for quarterbacks. I know it seems like a long time with the fifth-year option, but the minute the games start, the time is ticking on that, and you're going to go through some lumps at some point. So, and I feel like there's examples both ways. You can obviously throw out great examples of guys that have sat and have turned out to be superstars in the league with Patrick Mahomes, but there's been a lot of great rookie quarterbacks recently too. So, in my heart of hearts, I feel like if I was running a team, maybe I'm just impatient, but I would want to see the other guy out there right away. So I think that's kind of the push and the pull that I'm going through going into training camp.
What then is an ideal spot for you to go and see that happen, where Mendoza ascends over Cousins?
I think he's obviously just got to be lights out over the next 6 weeks or whatever before the season. I think with kind of the built-in advantage Cousins has, which what seems like to me kind of a philosophy to go with the older guy and not necessarily throw the rookie out there right away. I think you just got to show that there are no concerns that you're 100% capable of stepping in right away. So I guess in a way the ball is on his court, but I feel like it's really high expectations that he's going to have to be just about near perfect to get that spot. Again, if this was from a betting man perspective or saying what I think is going to happen, I still think it's going to be Cousins. I just have some reservations if that's really the right decision.
Case, going back to the offensive line, you said, you have zero doubt that it's going to be improved. Where do you think we're going to see that the most?
Well, I mentioned Tyler Linderbaum, and obviously with the market-setting contract you gave him, I think in the middle and just guys being on the same page, I think is probably the number one thing. I think that communication is going to be a lot better. I think he's going to make all the calls. Guys are going to know where everyone is. I think there were some games, probably more than a few games last year, where it just looked like a mess. I mean, you don't have to be a trenches guru to understand that no one was on the same page. It seemed like a lot of times there were some breakdowns. I really think there will be way less of that this year with, and of course Colton Miller was hurt so much last year with, two guys that have been leaders in this league and will be leaders of this team there. I think there will be a lot better on that front.
Yeah, I agree, and it can't get much worse. Let's put it that way. We hope anyway, for the Raiders' sake and their fans' sake and our listeners' sake, without question. Case, one other name that's really come up quite a bit, and that's Jamad McCoy in terms of where he is health-wise, which all indications are that he is healthy. So I think hopefully we're going to get that answered really quick that he is perfectly fine. He's ready to go, and once that is proven, how much of a curiosity level do you have for Jamad McCoy and the question of whether or not he could just be the guy over there opposite Eric Stokes?
Oh, yeah, huge. I mean, that's certainly in that secondary tier of questions I was talking about. I mean, I think it's hard not to be tantalized by his potential. I mean, you just go back not too long ago, and you would have thought for sure this was a day one starter in the NFL. So he's certainly a guy to watch, and if he is 100%, it seems the Raiders are confident they have the right plan for him, and they'll be able to get him on there right away. I mean, he's got every opportunity in the world to take that job opposite of Stokes, and that'll be another one to watch. I'm certainly bullish on him, and just like everyone else, my only question is the health. So we'll see how that holds up over the next several weeks. And if he can stay in one piece, I think he's got a really good chance to earn that spot.
What do you think it'll be like for somebody like Traden Stukes now, competing, at a perhaps a safety position and other spots? What do you think that is, and how much pressure is on those current incumbent safeties, Polomao as well as Jeremy Chin?
Yeah, I think just playing everywhere for Stukes, I think that's going to be the question. It certainly seemed like he held up really well with it in the late summer, or early summer, late spring, those practices. But they're throwing a lot on his plate. They clearly think he's capable. I know there's a lot of excitement about him, but there's going to be some. I think it's not really an original thought. I think Clint Kubiak has said it, but we need to see what he does when the pads get on here in a couple weeks or 10 days, whatever it is. Right now, a week from now, it seems like he's got a good head on his shoulders, is really taking in everything, playing all these different positions. So we'll see how he holds up to the physicality when it gets to that point, but I think he's in a really strong position right now.
Talking to Case Keefer, Las Vegas Sun, getting ready for Raiders training camp. First practice Wednesday. The vets report tomorrow. Rookies have been inside the building. And when we look at, 10 members of the Raiders rookie draft class, right, there's lots of reasons for excitement. In terms of the impact, we just talked about Traden Stukes. We've obviously talked a ton about Fernando Mendoza. Is there anyone else in this draft class that you would expect to show out in training camp? We'll see what the regular season has entailed, but just in terms of this training camp that you really hope stands out in particular.
I think as a Raider fan and what we've seen so far and how highly guys have talked about, I just think you really hope that Trey Zune pans out. I mean, there's still spots up for grabs on the offensive line. And what has he said ever since he's got drafted? He can play anywhere, and the Raiders seem to believe that too. They've played him at every position. They obviously had some weak spots last year. I think he's really, even if he doesn't end up a day one starter, I think you want to see him push these guys in training camp, and I think he's in position to do so. I mean, the guy's been unbelievable. 3 straight years now at Texas A&M and best lineman in the SEC, arguably. I think he won the award last year. So he's the other one that really jumps out to me, maybe immediate. I think there's some other guys deeper in the class that can make a difference too, between Mike Washington, on the tip of my tongue, and Masses at cornerback. But I think immediately, I think Trey Zune has a chance to be like an every down guy, and he has a chance to push some of these guys right away.
Case, obviously, the most important part of what came out of the Bay Area yesterday was that Kyle Shanahan, the 49ers coach, is okay and on the road to recovery, first and foremost. But we started the show today talking about kind of how shocked we were that story took so long to come out, especially in today's age where you've got people that literally scan the police scanners or monitor the police scanners for stories just like this. TMZ, independent journalists that look for stories like this, and sometimes first responders tip off the TMZs of the world about stories like this. How shocked were you, and maybe even disappointed from a journalism standpoint, that it took so long before we actually found out that Kyle Shanahan was involved in a car accident as serious as this one?
Yeah, that was wild to me when I saw how many days it had passed, and then reading up on the story. I wonder. I mean, a lot of things have changed. Obviously, I mean, I remember when I first got into the business. I mean, the places I was working, we had such huge staff, and the police scanner was running at all times. And like you said, we had someone sitting there. And unfortunately, that's just these companies are diminishing, including my own. And we just don't. I guess maybe a lot of places don't have the manpower of that anymore. Maybe it's just a bizarre set of circumstances that have this not coming out. Cause I got to think this is out of the ordinary for it to be so long. It's just it's wild. I don't have the answers. That's just one theory I guess I have to throw. But yeah, that certainly stood out to me as well as it did to you guys.
I liked your story in the Las Vegas Weekly about Jalen Naylor. What are your kind of projections for him, and maybe upside as far as what the expectations are, but what could be had for him in the Kubiak offense?
Yeah, I just think wide receiver is such an interesting thing to look at because I think we've heard Coach Kubiak say it himself that there's going to be a lot of competition in training camp. I think he said, "May the best man win." There's a lot of snaps up for grabs. You would think Jalen Naylor's kind of in pole position to take one of those key places, and I do think the upside's very high. I just feel like with what he was stuck behind at Minnesota, he never had the chance to super stand out, but we certainly saw some flashes throughout, and clearly he was not a guy that was really on my radar that I thought the Raiders would target right away. But you saw, within hours of free agency opening, they had they had him signed, had him coming over, even though he kind of had a skill set that you thought Trey Tucker had some of. So it would not have been one of my guesses. I think because of the profile of player he is, to me that shows even higher what the Raiders think of him. And if you're betting on someone to break out and have that great year at receiver, I think he's probably got to be the top choice.
Speaking of betting, it feels like a safe bet that Max Crosby is that guy once again for the Raiders. And now that's the good that Max Crosby is kind of that superstar, but at the same time, for the good of the team, you kind of want somebody at least rivaling Max Crosby in terms of being that guy, right, for the franchise. I think a lot of people would point to that quarterback position. But when you look at returners from a year ago, or just veterans, I guess let's just put it that way in general, who do you think could be that guy that surpasses a Max Crosby in terms of being the guy for the Raiders in terms of success?
Ooh, surpasses. That's a tough one. We're going either side of the ball here, or is this defense only?
This is wherever you want to go. You could even go kicker.
To me, as long as, and I feel like I'm going with the obvious answer again. Hopefully, you're not setting me up just to agree with you again, Vince, because I know we already did that once. But it feels like if Brock Bowers is just healthy a full season, and despite who stands out at receiver, he's such the number one guy on this offense. We've seen what the number one guy can do in a Clint Kubiak offense. I just feel like Bowers could have an absolute monster season. I guess the other 1A, 1B choice would be Ashton Genty. I just, coming off Genty's rookie season, I know there's a lot of debate on who's to blame and if he's going to be able to bounce back. I just want to get the answer to that first before I completely hitch my wagon to him being the number one guy. I feel like that is in Bowers if he stays healthy. I feel like we've seen it his rookie season. So to me, it'd be Brock Bowers.
Well, I know that you like to hang out with your weekend at Bernie's friend, Adam Hill. So I would imagine that you guys are going to be standing over there conversing during training camp. How much is he going to force you to watch Matt Gay and Special K, or how much are you actually curious in watching the Matt Gay Special K competition over at kicker?
He's probably going to influence me, and he's going to be like Vince. He's going to get in those. He's going to gaslight me into believing whatever his way is. I got to be honest. I don't watch the kickers all that much, and every year at some point I'm like, I haven't really watched them. How's so and so doing? He always has the biggest take on it. I think I've already asked him about this kicker competition too. When we were sitting at UFC a couple of weeks ago, I said I didn't really see the kickers when the days I was out there. What was going on? And he gave me the full rundown. So unfortunately, I'm just going to come clean. My opinion on the kickers are probably just going to be regurgitating what Adam tells me, because I don't have the eye for special teams that our esteemed friend does.
You do have a great eye for the trenches. On the defensive line, who are some of the guys you really want to see pop this year, especially in camp?
I think it'd be nice to see the next step from Tonka Hemingway. I know there's a little bit of excitement for what he did at the end of last year. It just feels like kind of an incomplete for a lot of those rookies, and maybe he's at top of the list. A lot of snaps up for grabs. Maybe Pegues too. I think Hemingway's shown a little bit more so far, and obviously a higher draft pick. So he's up there. I feel like it's similar to receiver. I feel like in the along the defensive line, there's a lot of snaps up for grabs. I feel like there's a lot of competition. There's a lot of ways it could go. So just seeing who's up for the challenge and who ultimately gets that. But I think it'd be a good thing for the franchise if Hemingway proved to be one of those guys.
He is Case Keefer. He is not going to be pushed around in his opinion, but he may be carried by a mob at a concert, as we know. Has that happened this summer?
I have a feeling Case has been Bernie, figuratively speaking, sometimes, right?
Oh, is that true, Case?
It's either I don't know if Adam goes down like that, but probably. Yeah, I'm sure he would.
No,
look at that. Did you hear that quiet laugh?
There was like,
no, I've definitely mellowed in my old age. I definitely had some episodes like that, younger years at the DIY shows. I mean, I've sprained my ankle pretty bad stage diving, things like that, and had to be carried. But never to the level of Bernie.
You
luckily.
just chose not to walk. You just wanted to be carried out. I think that's all that was. Case, we appreciate your takes, your truth.
Thanks a lot, guys.
your sheer joy. We appreciate you. We'll see you at camp this week.
I see you.
I like to keep Case guessing.
And he just wanted any part of that. But I love envisioning the stage dives, even at like a young 13, 14 years old stage diving.
I think the reason I bring it up as much as I do is, one, because I'm just fascinated by it, and I've never been in a position, nor will I be, to do something like that. So that just it's just a fascinating just moment to be in. Like, I'm up here performing for you. Now you are going to carry me.
It's a level of trust that I just don't have with the rest of people.
Maybe that's another part of it.
Yeah.
Clay. That's a good point. There's a level of trust there that just...
like they might do it for Case. They're not going to do it for me. They're going to take one look at me and they're like, no, let's let this kid fall.
Yeah, they would definitely drop me. That's a fact. I agree. Me and you are in the same boat.
Got one of those heads.
That's all right.
It's fine.
That's all right. We'll battle through that. All right, 702-365-9200. We will get back to the topic at hand. We are going to get to your phone calls, your text messages. What is the one truth you are looking to uncover this training camp for the Silver and Black? 702-365-9200.
Vince, Vinny, and Clay want to hear from you. Call or text the show at 702-365-9200. Now, back to the morning tailgate.
A little crazy. I would like them to play fast, even at the cost of a mental error. I think, I don't like to see hesitation on the field, so even if you're unsure, make a decision and go and let us coach. Let us do our job. But I don't want any slow blinkers out there. So still going into how we play box, how we attack the ball, how we run to the ball. You can't take it away if you don't run to the ball, and just staying with that mindset and instilling confidence in them that they can play that way, that they have the freedom from me. I don't care about a bust over that. That's not the difference of winning and losing to me.
Raiders' new DC, defensive coordinator Rob Leonard. If you're a player, you have to love hearing that messaging. Don't play scared. No slow blinkers. Love that phrase. Did I already say put that on a t-shirt? Had to have, right? That's a t-shirt. No slow blinkers.
But it says a lot.
I think
they're watching eye control. They're watching everything.
They're watching eye control. Gustavo up on the text line says, "Good morning, gents. I would like to know, is there going to be a giant hamster, plastic balls during warm-ups of training camp?" Haha, I kid. On a serious note, though, I'd like to see what the notable differences are in coaching from Kubiak in comparison to previous regimes. Carol AP, Daniels Gruden. I think Alexa, our first guest in hour number 2, kind of touched on it. She kind of echoed the same sentiment in terms of what she's looking for, Vinny and Clay, and that's the tone of practice. And I said I think the tone of practice is there is no tone. It's just practice, which is, again, something we have not really experienced. There's always been, extra the last couple training camps for a variety of reasons. And I think for the first time in a couple years, we're going to see a more direct, a more football business demeanor, tone, if you will.
Yeah, and, I was talking yesterday about how the Rams got literally right to 11 on 11, and their entire their practice was 11 on 11. They never broke up into anything else but that, right? And it was so businesslike. It was so efficient. But it also, I don't expect that to be the case with the Raiders, and I don't mean one's better than the other. It's just kind of where where both are on their journeys. We're talking about a Rams team that's in year, 10 with Sean McVay. This is a repeat, rinse and repeat, building off of what they already laid down last year and adding to the offense and all that kind of stuff. They are installing because, these coaches are ever changing and ever adding, but it's not. Their starting point is far different from where the Raiders' standpoint is. So there's going to be way more individuals to start practice, and the Rams will implement that as well. They just kind of wanted to throw their guys into the fire day one. But I think it'll be different from from where the Raiders' starting point is when they get on the field on Wednesday, and that should be the case considering that it is Clint Kubiak's first year on the job, and now he's implementing his program. But I will say this. I do believe the workman-like tone, the pace, the seriousness will be almost the same. You got to understand, Clint Kubiak, Sean McVay, the Shanahans, they all were cut from the same cloth. Like literally, they were cut from the same cloth. You're going to see guys under, if this works, which I believe that it will. I'm just going to say that if it works, obviously. But you're going to see guys like Andrew Janocko be the next Matt LaFleur's and Zach Taylor's. They're going to and Kevin O'Connell's. They're going to move on. They're going to start being that kind of a program and an organization where guys move on to other jobs. And there's not going to be the extracurricular stuff. Like everyone looks at Sean McVay and you think, he's a fun guy. He's a great guy, great human being too. But it's workmanlike, man. They get on the field and they get to business. It's not all the fun games, joking around and all. There's a purpose. There's a meaning. And I truly see that. They're different people. He and Clint Kubiak, different personalities. But the mindset is exactly the same of the serious tone. Let's get to work. Let's be where our feet are planted. Let's take advantage of these next 90 minutes and make them the best 90 minutes that we possibly can, the most efficient 90 minutes that we possibly can. No joking around, no wrestling, no throwing the ball around, none of that. Just get to work, get your work in. Let's move on to the next phase, whether that's the lift, the post-practice lift. You got to get into a meeting, whatever the case might be. Let's maximize this day. And I truly believe that is the difference that you're going to see in a Clint Kubiak coach team compared to some teams that were coached by coaches prior to him.
And again, just by default, I think Raider Nation would echo that sentiment. They're looking forward to that. They're looking forward to the no nonsense thing because as much fun as we had with it last year, and we did. I was front and center like, look at what's going on here. Like, this is just absolute crazy. The energy, all that stuff. How many times did we say the word energy? I think, obviously, when that energy does not turn into results, when that turns into, the number one overall pick in a disastrous season on a number of levels and layers, you want something different, and I think Clint Kubiak is going to provide that tonic, if you will, to be that something different.
However it's supposed to look, I want Kubiak to have full control to put his identity into this team, put his fingerprint on how things should be run in his system. He should have the latitude to do that. And, and even going even further, as you brought up, like if Andrew Janocko, down the road, a year from now is a highly sought-after offensive coordinator, that's a good sign because that shows with the proof of concept that worked here in Las Vegas for the Raiders. But either way, I would love to see a moment where, they are feeling something where they feel like they got a lot of work done in this part of camp, where they feel like the routine of lining up and doing the right things are something that, it's not, as Max says, we're not checking boxes. We're already actually a spot where we feel comfortable with how we're going to line up every day, how we're taking messages, and also we are free to be in the moment and to play the way we're supposed to because we rely on the coaching and we trust the coaching. And I don't think the trust in coaching was there last year.
702-365-9200 is the number up on the text line. Raider Sean, I did a breakdown on all of Rick Dennison's stops as O-line coach, or even having heavy influence on the O-line, and it comes down to this. In run blocking, he consistently has teams ranked 5 to 10 and in passing 15 to 25. If we go all together, we could be looking at an O-line ranking that can settle in the range of 12 to 20.
Okay.
Not to mention he consistently brings sack totals down. If Rick can get it done, look out, go Raiders. God bless.
Thank you, Sean.
It's a nice breakdown there and goes more to the point of if you can uncover one truth, what would that be for the Raiders training camp? 702-365-9200. Out to the phones we go. Snake Man joining us here in the Morning Tailgate. Good morning, Snake Man.
Good morning, guys. Listen, man, you've got me all nostalgic over here. I'm going to give you a Raider Mike-like story here, okay? And I'm going to try and equate it to what I want this Raider defensive line to look like. So I'm going to go back because when you guys talk to Case, and it's the first time I've been able to kind of catch and follow up after you had him on, I'm going to take you guys back to early to the late 80s where I'm from, Trenton, New Jersey. And if anyone's listening out there, by God, just Google City Gardens, Trenton, New Jersey. It's a legendary dance club, but also they had all the great bands that come through there between Philly and New York. They'd stop over in Trenton, and Ramones, for example, played there like dozens and dozens of times. They had the best bar, and they had the best dance club, but I'm going to get into the stage. This is actually a documentary, a book. It's called "No Spikes, No Spikes, No Stage Diving, No Slam Dancing." But the mosh pits were legendary. They had a set of bleachers on each side. On the right side of the dance stage, a wooden set of bleachers, and people would dive off those bleachers into the mosh pit all the time. Okay. And there was one, you have to go back to the days where there was no internet. So the only way that you could find out if a good band was coming through, and they had bands all through the week. These skinheads would show up once in a while on certain punk rock bands, and they would form what they call the Wall of Death. And all these skinheads would lock arms, and they would charge the dance floor, and they would just bowl over anybody who was in the way, and then the fights would ensue. But it was all good fun, really. There was never any like major violence there or whatever, but the attire was prerequisite was nothing of color. You have to wear black.
Sure. Black
combat boots, black leather jeans, black pants, a black shirt, whatever. It was the craziest scene when they had shows there. One night, Black Flag was playing there, and there was this cat up on the stage on the bleachers, and he decided that he wanted to jump off the bleachers, assuming everybody would catch him. And I happened to be right in the middle of that thing. And at the last second, we just bailed, and we're like, nope, we don't want to catch this guy.
Oh!
Flat, right on his face on the dance floor. That was the only time I've ever been there. They had to actually bring the ambulance in to carry somebody out. He was okay, but he was a bloody mess.
Sound okay.
The craziest part of the story is this. I'm going to give you guys one guess who our bartender was at City Guards during that show and for about 2 years there. I want to give you a wild guess who you might think our bartender was. A very famous person. You want to try or no?
Case Keefer.
Andrew Dice Clay.
The one and only Jon Stewart.
Oh, really?
He's the bartender at City Gardens in Trenton, New Jersey for a couple of years there, and there's actually a documentary, and he talks about that. And Jon Stewart, he's waited on us numerous times, but Jon Stewart knows about all those crazy shows there. So I want that Raiders defensive line. I want them to make the opposition's offensive line around that corner. I want that to become a mosh pit.
Oh, I love it. Well done, Snake Man. Great memories.
We got there.
With somebody doing the Superfly Snuka off the bleachers.
Snake Man.
No, thank you.
You didn't see, like I just said, that's maybe my anxiety. I want to be caught. And you just prove that. Now
yep. That is the proverbial leap of faith.
That's true. That's a good call. Good call, Snake Man. Appreciate you. Thanks so much. Does that make you now more inclined to
it reinforces the no of why I should never do that.
Oh, the no. Right. I thought that might have turned you.
No. Listen, I'm going to be one of the guys like Snake Man's like, nah, we're not catching this guy. He's got this big head. I don't want to do it. Henry Rollins of Black Flag, though, I bet enjoyed that Superfly Snookus plunge into the floor.
All right. Well, see, now I try and catch up as many texts. This is full transparency. I'm trying to catch up on as many texts as possible. The
Very
next
busy.
text I got to is Snake Man, who just called. And Snake Man didn't mention anything over here that he's mentioned on the text line. So I'm going to read his. Due to the draft capital along the offensive line, have more concern with the defensive line. considering not as much high draft capital expenditure along that front. Raiders have addressed secondary, O-line skilled positions, save wide receiver. But this D-line, if O-line plays up to higher expectations, may be the weak link yet.
Yeah.
A D-line. But Max Crosby's there. It's Robbie Leonard's unit.
It hasn't taken a lot of examination. We have not put a lot of scrutiny on everybody on that line because are we just taking it on faith that there's going to be an improvement from this group? Booker on down? There's a lot of question marks.
Kwity Paye got paid, so need something from him. Vinny, Allen in Vegas? He's got an interesting one of what he wants to uncover, the truth. He says, guys, I need to see if Colton still has it.
Oh, he's definitely got it. Yeah, it's just been injuries. It was unfortunate. He was playing as good as anyone the first 3.5 games of the year last year. Yeah. There's no worry about Colton Miller.
I think PFF had him again. It's a small sample size, but up until that point that he was injured, he was ranked top 5 left tackle in the NFL, right? Memory serves me correct?
Yes.
All right. Vegas Mike says, I would like to see Key Crawford secure a spot by mid-season. Stooks needs to earn that starting role week 1.
Yeah, I think Stooks will earn a start. I'd be surprised if Stooks wasn't a starter week 1. And my bigger question right now, and what that will mean for Isaiah. I think Isaiah, as I've said many times, I think he could be a real asset as a rotational player, somebody that you can have specific packages for situational football because there's so many things that he could do, and he's proven that. Maybe he's one of those guys that having to play 95% of the snaps, maybe that's stretching it a little bit, but in smaller doses, in specific roles, and situationally, there's a good football player there that I think could be an asset for a football team.
Vegas Mike also says if Matsuzawa can handle preseason pressure, then it's just time to commit to him over Gay.
I think what they'll do, more realistically, unless he goes out there, first of all, Matt Gay is going to have a lot to say about this, mostly if it's clear that he's not going to be able to handle the job, right? I think more realistically, though, short of that, is that he'll get the first part of the season, however long that may be, and he's either going to sink or swim. He's either going to be the consistent kicker that he's been at times in his career, or he's going to revert back to more recent times when he just wasn't that, and that will express itself, and the Raiders will say, okay, we gave it a shot, and it's either working or it's not working. Now we got to go to plan B. Maybe that Special K, if he's showing, he's going to be, I would think, at that point on the practice squad. I don't think he's going to get picked up by anyone else if they put him on waivers. And then if they feel like he's ready to at least get a shot, then he'll get the call, or they'll go out on the veteran market and bring in somebody that they're a little bit more secure with or confident in at this point.
702-365-9200. We'll get your final thoughts in the final sit-down, but not before Clay has a gift for you.
We got 2 tickets to go see the ex-ambassadors over at the Sahara Pool. This is for August or September 26th. You can get your tickets online, but we have 2 here for you to pick up here at Lotus Broadcasting. The band from Ithaca, New York, coming to Vegas on their nationwide tour. The ex-ambassadors. Be caller 9 at 702-365-9200.
This is the Morning Tailgate.
Oh, Paisan. Oh! Back up.
I'll talk to him about it.
I've been telling you for months now this guy's no good. I want to sit down.
All right. Answer the phone.
I want to sit down.
Hey! On Raider Nation Radio 920.
Oh!
It is the final sit-down here on the Morning Tailgate, Raider Nation Radio 920. Big thanks to our guests on today's program, Alexa Belcastro, News 3LV, as well as the sun in our life, Las Vegas Suns, Case Keefer, and you, Raider Nation. A couple more texts to get to here on the text line. Tech Raider says, good morning, Tailgate. Want to know that the O-line can protect Fernando and block for Genti. If the O-line can come together, the Raiders will surprise this season. Raider 67. Good morning, gents. What I want to see in camp, besides everything that has been mentioned, is twofold. One, the screen game with running backs, tight ends, and the fullback to watch the guards pull. And number 2, to watch the fullback, Connor Hayward, be used as a weapon that he is. Not just a lead back for Ashton. So that's kind of you.
Weaponized Connor Hayward.
Raider 67 and Clay Baker, simpatico.
Reunited and it feels so good.
Or no, not Clint. Spytek. Let's talk about fullbacks.
No one's asked him. Well, somebody please ask John Spytek, why doesn't he have 3 fullbacks on the roster?
Vinny, you're in trouble.
Why is that?
Raider Mike says, Vinny B, how do you not know what the Odyssey is? It's the Trojan horse. It's Ulysses. His life. He said his. What did he write? Oh, life was mandatory reading in 8th grade. His life.
We did not read Homer or Odyssey. Now I have the connection. No, we were like we were reading. I had a joke there, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, let's just leave it in the. Leave it in the holster.
We were reading things with great pictures in them, but anyway, we were like The Outsiders. We read The Outsiders. We read Where the Red Fern Grows. We had to read Where the Red Fern Grows, which
pretty sad stuff.
You know, I had to revisit that because I had to I had to read it to my son and daughter. It's my daughter more than my son. My son read it, and I just decided to read it to my daughter when her I don't know, she must have been in the 2nd or 3rd grade, right? Or well, no, she was probably in middle school by that point, and I just started bawling when it came to that one scene, you know. And my wife's looking at me going, "What is wrong with you?" I'm like, "What?
Oh yeah,
what?"
I remember reading.
This is tough stuff.
We read it in class, and you could hear people bawling. You could hear people falling apart in that class.
Yeah,
Big Dan and Little Ann.
Yeah,
it's not for everybody.
I don't know how to segue out of that, but that's okay. What did you guys think of the Nickel City uniforms for Buffalo? Did you see these?
I did not.
I did.
There was an unveiling.
At first,
they look pretty good.
So at first, I thought, because I just saw the picture. I was like, Detroit has a new uniform, and then I saw it was Buffalo. And I looked at it again, and then I thought I was looking at the Kansas Jayhawks football uniforms. That's not a diss. I just thought
I see some Boise State in this too.
Maybe a little Boise State. I don't mind them at all, to be honest. But it took me a minute.
Well, you get that new stadium. You gotta find ways to get other. Bills fans are going to buy it because they want new Bills stuff. So this is probably a slam dunk for them.
Plus, the league wants them to. There's like rules now. The league's like, you have to do this stuff. It's not even just the teams anymore. And you're only allowed 5. I had to do all this because the Rams did their new alternate uniforms, which I thought looked pretty sweet. But I was talking to somebody with the team, and I was like, what do you think the reaction is going to be? Like, I have given up. I'm trying to figure out what the fans' reaction is. We just do the best we can, man. And half the people are going to love them, half of them are going to hate them, and people are a little anal out there on these things, man. I got to admit. Why didn't you just put the stripe on the? I'm like, all right, come on, dude. Come on.
Yeah, I know there are now rules with the NFL, and like they're really looking to expand all that stuff. Like, that's great. Buffalo just seemed like one of the last teams that I thought would have to. I guess I don't know. Have to. I don't know what the proper vernacular. That just seems like a fan base that loves their look.
They've had a lot of different uniforms though. So like as opposed to the Raiders, you know what they all these teams call it now? Our closet. When we go into our closet, I'm like, wait, all right, come on now.
Oh boy. All right.
Yeah. Hey, everyone has a job to do, Vince. We all have a job to do, right?
Agreed. And we'll continue to do our job tomorrow.
How many unis do you have in your closet, Vince?
A lot.
Depends on whether it's Friday night or Saturday.
Bingo. Night,
Vince, is that you?
Day side, afternoon,
lipstick. Dusk. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows, Vince?
Stay with the flagship for the Silver and Black. JT the Brick from 12 to 2. Unnecessary roughness. Q Myers from 2 to 5.
Yeah,
Vets report tomorrow.
Yes.
We're back tomorrow. Have a great day, everybody. Vinny Bonsignor, Clay Baker. I'm Vince Sapienza.